Hey guys, it's Thorak. I was previously the guild master of Insurrection, and before leaving Unchained, I was a Blu-ray team raid leader. I was also Druid class lead, and I was also assigned to be one of the PvP event coordinators.
Hey, it's Ezekiel. I was formerly an officer in Insurrection, and then when we moved, I became the class lead for Warlocks, and the first conqueror of Unchained, which is the dueling tournament. We are just making this video because we want you guys to know what's going on and what happened between us and many other people and just the leadership in Unchained. To break it down for you, we have three parts in this video. Part one is going to be the history of Insurrection, so um, how we formed, what we did, and how we came to be affiliated with Unchained. Part two is going to be the problems with Unchained, and we're just going to glaze over those. Nothing too long, but we're going to have two big ones at the end, which are the main reasons why we're leaving. And then part three is everything that we tried to do and eventually what led to us leaving.
Alright guys, so the history of Insurrection, I was originally in Quintessential, and I left Quintessential because I didn't really agree with the leadership, the whole officer structure that they had. Result ended up leaving the guild. I wanted to kind of create the best system possible, so I eventually made my own guild called Insurrection. I was able to form a raid team for our very first MC clear, and there ended up being around 12 to 14 of us, and then we had to pug the rest. Me and Recorn came to a point where we were just so mentally exhausted from spending days upon days upon days finding people for the raids ahead of time. We were able to do full clears week after week with 30 different people every single week. We were able to guide them to progressing. We were able to clear multi-core, different group every single week. Um, Eventually came to the point to where there were fairly unchained members in one of our pugs. The pug went fairly smooth. When we had killed Domo, that was the first time that a majority of them had actually done that. They'd never seen Ragnaros spawn. Actually, after the raid, me, Redcorn, Good Spartan, and Warlock had talks about merging the raid teams, which eventually led into talks of merging the guild. So we eventually merged into Fairly and Unchained. We were made quite a few promises. Uh, they had talked about how everyone here is equal. It's just like a democracy. The GM has no more power than anybody else in the guild. Everyone's voice is equal. If we have a big situation, we all vote on it, and whatever the majority of officers votes, that's how it will be handled.
All right, jumping into part two. One of the things that we noticed was that people were being overshadowed by officers and GMs. That also includes some raid leaders. But one main instance that I can recall is we just killed Ragnaros. Exciting time. We just beat MC. And a back piece dropped. And I don't know the specific back piece, but it was best in slot for hunters. And we found out that it wasn't best in slot for any other class, so hunters should be the only ones to roll. And Dwarf Hunter tried to explain that to us before we rolled it off. He didn't happen to have his mic, so he was typing, but no one noticed in the moment. So the Loot Council said, Warriors, Rogues, roll. And so it was given to a rogue, and the rogue equipped it, and it couldn't be traded anymore. And then after that fact happened, because it happened so fast, Sketcher, who was the only person who heard Dwarf Hunter or saw his message and was trying to say something but no one listened, said, "Hey, that was a bis piece for hunters," and Dwarf Hunter is pretty upset because he tried to tell you guys and you guys didn't see it, or you guys just like didn't care. and that resulted in Dwarf Hunter G quitting. So so just a prime example of someone who had something to say, a pretty important thing to say, and wasn't heard by the leaders in the group and the loot council or anything, and it turned out that he G quit.
Something that I've definitely noticed being an officer in this guild is that we have way too many officers to the point to where when we're trying to do raids, all officers are talking as if they're equal to a raid leader. On Blue Raid team, we have 3 raid leaders. We have Hair, Reckhorn, and myself. I think for a raid team to be successful, you don't have to be a really hardcore raid team trying to speed run everything, but you definitely need some discipline in your raid team. Raid leaders don't really have the power to serve new people, to remove people from the raid who are lollygagging, won't stop talking, trolling a little bit. We don't really have the power to remove them from the raids. It's the kind of raid that if we needed to say clear comms, everyone would just laugh after we say it and then get in their last remarks. So it's really unorganized and it feels extremely unprofessional. After we joined the guild, we progressively were getting better times week after week. And then over the last 2 to 3 weeks, our times have been progressively getting worse, worse, and worse. Since we have so many officers controlling the raid, one officer could say something and you don't like the answer, so you just bring it up to a different officer. So you're always going to get your way, and there's just going to be so much drama. I've definitely noticed in raids, a lot of the time, if there was a loot council decision that Warlock disagreed with, he would just spam Sketcher and myself the entire raid, whispers, "I'm not happy, I'm pissed," and just basically the point where he's talking mad shit to me, and I'm like, bro, we're trying to raid. There was one situation with loot distribution where the R-Stone hammer dropped, right? It is only best in slot for balanced druids and breasted druids, right? So when the R-Stone hammer dropped, I told Care to give it to me. I personally don't believe that I went about it the right way. I didn't explain why it should go to me. I just kept saying, yo, Care, give me the R-Stone hammer. Care, give that to me. Which definitely resulted in many players being unhappy, just feeling that I was being a ninja, I was being a loot whore, just give me the hammer. For the rest of the entire raid, that's all Sketcher and I heard about, just being spam PMs by Warlock the entire raid. And it, like, you're a healer, you need to focus on healing, you're the guild master, you need to know how to properly go about these situations instead of just spamming me like any other kid on the internet when he's unhappy with me. It's ridiculous. And after the raid, all the officers went into the meeting room and we all agreed it was the right council decision. It just wasn't went about the correct way, right? It's definitely seeming like in our raids, all the officers are equal to raid leaders. Raid leaders, like, what's the point of them even having that title if they can just be overshadowed by any other officer? If their voice can get, if they can just get talked over. Okay, I'm gonna get into these PMs that Sketcher shared with me. He didn't share all of them. He didn't send all of them to me, but he has read many of them out loud. Going over that Arsenal Hammer stuff, Sketcher saying that anytime I was involved in any sort of controversy or an issue or just anything in the guild, Warlock would always message Sketcher saying that dumbass druid, that fucking ninja looted the Darkstone hammer, that fucking ninja, and he just, guys, democracy, we're all equal. If the majority of officers agree that was the right council decision, you gotta accept it. You can't just keep bitching about it. He won't give it up. He wants selfless officers who don't hold grudges, and those aren't any qualities that he has. Here's some Private messages, see them right here. Some private messages that Sketcher has shared that Warlock had sent. This was over colonizing the band. I was told that I can get a second one, even though I already had one before we merged guilds. I eventually just agreed to passing on the next ring since that's what the majority of the officers agreed with. So I stated my points, I defended myself, but the majority ruled against me, so I had to honor that. Warlock says he's not getting double colonizing ban until everyone gets one. Sketcher says, I think all healers agree with that. I'm not a healer, so I don't know. Then Warlock proceeds to say, now I'm going back to work, I'm pissed, and he needs to learn his fucking place. He brings 75 people from a nobody guild, and all of a sudden he makes the calls. Don't fucking bother me with him again until I get home. A lot of insurrection people were very unhappy with this line. Many people have already G quit, including myself and Ezekiel. Sketcher says we can talk when you get home, don't do anything dumb like whatever you mentioned above until then. And then Warlock says, if he asks me one more time in an officer chat, I will G kick him. Sketcher says, no, you won't, because that's an irrational decision to make, and insurrection would leave, causing our raid team to collapse. But just let me know when you get home. And then Warlock says that he better not attack his guildmaster in a public forum again. Then Sketcher replied with a very good response, making good points. You shouldn't attack an officer either. Prove you are a worthy GM by being impartial and selfless. If someone attacks you, take it gracefully and don't flip out and G-kick him for it. Warlock says, yes, and I will make sure every officer is selfless or they will not be an officer in this guild. So this is one of the big problems we have with Unchained. Sketcher has been an officer for a very long time in this guild. He's said numerous times it's pretty much been him and Care who basically run the guild. It's basically been the officers running the guild. Sketcher has basically carried this guild on his back for months now, and it seems like there's appreciation and there's acknowledgement for what he's done and what he will continue doing, but he's still just a rank of an officer. You have a guild master who literally does nothing. Sketcher, he thinks of and creates new ideas for the guild. He organizes guild raids. He organizes new system, new structure that we can implement to try to make everyone's overall experience here better. He does a very good job at solving disputes. Even when he himself is involved in the dispute, everyone in the guild feels comfortable going to Sketcher about a problem. The only problem with Sketcher is that he's not the guild master. We had voted him as guild master. All the officers, class leads, everyone in the channel agreed that Warlock is unfit to be our guild master. And everyone agrees that Sketcher is the most qualified person to be guild master. Yet 6 days later, there's still no change. Warlock said he wouldn't honor the vote, and he would only give Wappa or Asmid guild master, but not Sketcher. Guys, this is just 1% of all the messages I've heard. A lot of them, he talks shit on Math Rob about the job that he's been doing in Unchained too. When we confronted Warlock about these messages, he didn't acknowledge that he did anything wrong. He seemed to have an excuse for everything. Well, I was upset that day. Well, he doesn't take any accountability for what he says or does.
All right, and this is gonna be a big one. This is one of the more major and pressing problems that we've had while being in Unchained, and a lot of other people have also had. And that's just the GM, Warlock. And there's a lot to go through. There's just a lot of stuff that he's done that just isn't right. But we've tried to simplify that into a couple points. And I'll just start off with just how he handles the bank. So Warlock has total control over the guild bank. And with that entails a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of gold that sits in there, a lot of mats and items that can help progress the guild. And one thing that he chose to do, being in charge of the guild bank, was sell mats and items to guildies. And even though he sold them at half price, you shouldn't be buying mats from the guild bank. Every single raider has a claim to lay on those mats because we all participated in those raids. So when Sonder comes to us and he says, "Yeah, I just bought all these fiery cores and all this other stuff for fire res gear, so that he can be a more proficient tank." And he says that he bought them from Warlock. He bought them from the guild
300
bank. Yeah, yeah, 300 gold. Is just ridiculous because we all put an effort to get those items. We were all there at MC when all of those items dropped. We all put damage, put heals onto those bosses or ads that we were clearing, and for him to sell those items back to us is just bullshit. That's not how things should go. That's not how any bank should be ran by a guild master or whoever holds power. So that's probably one of the biggest things that Warlock has done wrong. But like moving along with it, he's just like very passive aggressive. Um, like Thorak will say or mention or has said, he kind of likes to hold control over a conversation. And if you don't play along, or if you try to say something that's out of his lines, he's gonna get on you about it. Like he doesn't take that shit like any which way. And that's another thing. He doesn't take criticism at all. There is no line, no percentage of criticism that you can give him, and he'll react well. Anything, even constructive criticism, like you'll try to say, hey, you did this wrong, but you can do it better, and this is how. He doesn't take it. We show the DMs. He like it literally shows Sketcher trying to talk him into how a GM should act, how he should take criticism, but he just doesn't. He doesn't take it. He doesn't stand for it, and that's just a very very main trait of a dictator or someone who is just power hungry. They don't want anyone else to conflict with them. They don't want to hear what other people have to say. What they think is right is number one, and is not going to be disputed by anyone else. And so, like having that said, there have been plenty of times when officers or guild members have tried to talk to him. Um, and this could be about one small thing or maybe like a big thing, like loot council or raid leaders or stuff like that. And I've never been there, but I've been told by many officers that he will scream at them if something goes wrong. He doesn't know how to handle these situations, so he just screams at them. Like there's no reason why anyone should ever scream at anyone else when they're trying to talk about a problem, how to solve it, and it's just like not the way that a guild master should be handling those situations, how he should be treating his officers or guild members. Like it's just completely shitty. Like you shouldn't be yelled at for trying to solve a problem.
So also with guilding stuff, Recorn had noticed that by looking at the guilding images that are posted in the guilding text channel, that there's an imbalance of fiery and lava cores, which could also be a result of tanks requesting certain mats, healers requesting certain mats for their core helm belts, for tanks fire resistance gear. That can make some sort of sense. Um, but Recorn had actually caught Warlock putting cores on the auction house. he immediately demanded that Warlock takes like the Reform was just starstruck. What are you doing? Why are you putting these on the Irish Nationals? Take them off. Warlock took them off. But that was just the one time we noticed it. We've been clearing molten core in this group for about a month now, and it doesn't make sense how we have so little mats. The guild bank is just full of a bunch of pointless green and blues that are just sitting there that he sells half price to lower levels. Yeah, we don't know how long he's been selling shit in the auction house. There, we'd gotten 3 ignits, and the amount that you would be selling them for, 500 to 600 something gold, just doesn't add up with the amount of money that's in the guild bank and the mass that are in the guild bank.
Hey, so this is Ezekiel. Post editing. Uh, Step three or part three was just way too long. So I'm gonna try to shorten it just here right now. Or else it would have taken me probably like an hour to cut and edit everything out. Um, but basically, we've had multiple meetings with everyone in power, where we try to discuss just the options that we have. And this is everyone. This is at least 15 people in a meeting, discussing the options that we have, including Warlock. Warlock's in there too. Um, and in the first meeting, we discussed. I was at work, but it was important to me, so I got on the call, and it was just a lot of back and forth. And eventually, I had to go back to work, but I didn't want things to just stay like that. So I stepped up and I asked Warlock, if we voted, essentially for him to be kicked out of the GM spot and to Sketcher replace him, if he would honor that. And he said no. And that was kind of like the breaking point for me. Um, Obviously, someone saying no to a vote, after saying that they want it to be a democracy, they want everyone to have the same amount of power. Kind of just doesn't really mix well. So I left. But it turns out that he would give the GM spot over to Wappa or Asmongold, which is great. I mean, I was looking forward to that. And yeah. And then uh, that meeting got resolved. He said he would give it to Wappa or Asmon, and things were good. Uh, Flash forward about 4 days, we have another meeting. And but this time it's not going to be about the GM talk. This time it's only about progressing the guild, and that confused me a little bit because it's decently hard to progress a guild that's being held back by such a big weight. But you know, I was there. No matter how big or small, I'd still be there. And we had the meeting. All the class leads, all the officers, the GM, Warlock, were all invited. Um, we all made it who could. If you were at work, that was fine. Warlock said that he would make it, and he didn't make it, which is kind of weird because uh, he he made it to the big meeting that was about him, but he can't make it to a meeting about progressing his guild. Um, so that's a little awkward, and that didn't really strengthen our beliefs. Now making this video, it's been almost a week, I think, maybe a little bit less. But it's been a week. Warlock hasn't been online for an entire week, about 6 days to be exact. He hasn't really been in Discord at all. And this is the longest break that he's taken, since his original break, in Fairly and Unchained. And so I'm kind of confused as to what he's planning on doing, or what is going on in his life, that he can't hop on his phone, open up the Discord app and say what's up. I'm also very, very intrigued to see if he will hop on 10 minutes before the scheduled raid on Saturday, which the day of this posting, the day of you seeing this, it'll be Saturday. If he'll hop on 10 minutes before the raid and participate and then leave. Um, but yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of different things that we've tried. Um, Meetings, hour-long talks between different officers and class leads. But we just can't seem to get a handle on it. So this is our course of action. Um, myself, and Thorak have left the guild. We will no longer take part in any activities of the guild. That's raiding, uh, dueling tournaments, anything you can think of that has to do with Unchained. And that's until Warlock resigns. Um, we just we just don't want anything to do with him. And that's really hard for us because me personally, the community has helped me out so much. And you know who you are. You know who that you helped me out. But it's just hard that we can't be in an environment that just makes it very difficult for us to enjoy the game. So we're leaving for now. This isn't permanent. This can be fixed. And I just hope that you guys see why we left, um, why what we're doing um, has some resemblance of backing behind it, why you can kind of understand us. Um, and I hope that this really kind of opens your eyes to maybe the people that are leading you, or what's going on uh, in your guild. So this whole entire video is not to persuade you to do anything. We're not trying to get your vote. We're not trying to get you to uprise or G quit or say anything. We just want you guys to know what's happening behind the scenes, and how it looks to us, and how that's gonna affect you.
It's just too much for a video game, right? It's all pixels. We're friends, we're having a good time, it's a great community here. But I don't want to come home and just deal with drama. I want to play the game, I want to have some fun, I want